What happens when a $100 million fairy tale deal slowly turns into a silent Hollywood exile, while thousands of miles away, a royal prince watches his legal war collapse in real time? Because that is exactly the strange, almost cinematic moment unfolding around Meghan Markle and Prince Harry right now. Two crises exploding in the same week, two reputations hanging by threads, and a pattern emerging that suddenly makes everything look far less like coincidence and far more like a reckoning that has been building quietly for years.
Just in, Netflix has officially cut ties with Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle has just been dumped again, fresh off the Jordanian humiliation.
Are Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stuck in development hell when it comes to their alleged Netflix products? Because as it turns out, the entire industry is changing.
Daily Mail wages war on Prince Harry. The gloves are off. The Duke of Sussex's needless legal action against the world's most read newspaper, the Daily Mail, is falling apart.
Meghan Markle is seemingly giving up on as ever because her efforts to actually help sell her products continue to get abysmally worse, to such an extent that today her graphic looks like an intern did it. Yes. Can you see the mistake there? Like the massive glaring error in that image?
Just when you think she can't, she's always attempting to spin her epic losses as major wins, and you can't fool us anymore.
And this is a woman who has claimed numerous times that Netflix is involved in her brand. They should be horrifically embarrassed that she is so incompetent and that she has all this support and everything. And it's like, okay, well, then where's the money going?
People like her, lizards in human form, will stop at nothing, as you said, to get some attention.
This in regards to her failing Netflix deal. I mean, remember, this is a woman who has promised Harry, I'm going to be the billionaire. I'm going to make us all this money. I mean, no wonder he's furious with her, because now she's demanding to Netflix that she becomes the director of her new dramatic projects, and they're saying, hang on a moment, no.
When it comes to their scripted programs, I mean, Meet Me for the Lake was announced back in 2023, and we have literally no movement on that product as far as we're aware. And Page Six is reporting that maybe even the first look deal that Harry and Meghan got with Netflix might be soon to dissolve.
Meghan is relieved, of course, she's always relieved, to be able to go it alone after fearing as ever was being held back by a cautious Netflix.
Two events, same week, and when you put them side by side, the story suddenly changes shape. On one side, Hollywood's most powerful streaming giant, Netflix, quietly closing the door on Meghan's lifestyle empire. On the other side of the Atlantic, Prince Harry sitting inside London's Royal Courts of Justice, watching his lawsuit against the press begin to crumble in front of judges, lawyers, and journalists. Separate headlines? That's what most people think. But if you follow the clues closely enough, if you look at the timing, the money, the stalled projects, the collapsing partnerships, suddenly those headlines stop looking like two stories. They start looking like one long unraveling.
Harry and Meghan are in so much financial trouble now that they very quietly, maybe possibly listed their home. Like, it's not a listing, it's like a pocket listing that, like, they're considering selling, unloading the Montecito $14 million mansion because they just can't afford it.
On Thursday, Netflix officially walked away from Meghan's lifestyle brand, the glossy, curated experiment called As Ever. The jams, the candles, the flower sprinkles, the delicate aesthetic designed to sell a vision of effortless California elegance. Gone, quietly abandoned. And what makes the moment so brutal is how ordinary the ending looked. No dramatic announcement, no explosive breakup, just a quiet corporate decision that said everything without saying it out loud. The experiment was over.
The New York Post is calling a fresh blow for Harry and Meghan, and there have been a lot of blows to them. 2025 was sort of, let's say, you could almost say the peak of Harry and Meghan in some ways, especially Meghan, because she had her show, she had the company As Ever, and there was, you could say, interest in her, but not like positive interest. It's always negative interest.
But here is where the story takes its strange turn. At the very moment that brand lost its biggest backer, Harry was sitting in court in London, a legal battle with the Daily Mail spiraling toward what could become a multi-million-dollar disaster. A bill approaching $10 million hanging in the air like a thundercloud. One couple, two continents, two collapses unfolding simultaneously.
Legal action against the world's most read newspaper, the Daily Mail, is falling apart and his case is crumbling by the day. Harry's in big trouble right behind me in the royal courts of justice. Now, the prince is very likely to lose this legal action, and if so, he'll be on the hook for up to $10 million, which will be a devastating setback as the money from the book Spare and the original Netflix deal is fast running out.
And here's the part no one seems to want to say out loud. These are not separate stories. There are two halves of the same gamble finally reaching its conclusion.
This is absolutely hilarious, isn't it? The front of this woman, it's like everything you have executive produced has been a complete disaster, apart from the one series where you slagged off the royal family infinitum, and you're now demanding to direct? Like, how crazy, how insane is she? Will she never learn?
Because if you rewind the tape 6 years back to 2020, you see the bet that started it all. Harry and Meghan walking away from royal life and stepping straight into the most lucrative entertainment contracts in modern celebrity history. Netflix placing a massive wager, roughly $100 million, on the idea that the Sussex name alone could generate endless cultural gold. Palace drama, personal revelations, behind the scenes royal intrigue. For a moment, it seemed like the gamble might work.
That sort of kind of ground up, and in 2026 it's completely and utterly dissipated and flatlined. And the problem for Meghan is not only does she have a ton of inventory to move, and I do want to do another video discussing the as ever controversies and failures and these sorts of things, but today we're going to talk about Harry and Meghan's attempt at being creatives, which hasn't gone creatively well in any stretch of the imagination.
But fast forward to the present and the picture is almost surreal. Netflix employees reportedly wandering through rooms on the company's Hollywood campus, casually helping themselves to Meghan's abandoned lifestyle products, jars of jam, scented candles, edible flower sprinkles, not because they were obsessed with the brand, but because the products had been sitting there for months untouched, unclaimed, forgotten. And that image, boxes of unsold lifestyle goods quietly disappearing into office kitchens, may be the most brutally honest metaphor for the entire situation. Because what the press releases didn't tell you is that March 6th wasn't the moment the deal collapsed. It was simply the moment the lights were switched off. The dimming started much earlier. Back in September 2020, the Sussex Netflix contract looked unstoppable. Hollywood executives believed the couple's royal drama could fuel years of streaming hits, and for one moment, one project, they were right. The 2022 Harry and Meghan documentary exploded across the platform, becoming a global sensation. Millions watched. Headlines multiplied. The Sussex story looked unstoppable. But after that, something strange happened. Projects began appearing and quietly disappearing. The 2023 Polo series arrived without much impact. The Cooking Meets Lifestyle show With Love, Meghan launched in 2025. Critics unimpressed, audiences even less so. Ratings that failed to crack Netflix's top charts. A second season that barely registered. Inside Hollywood, whispers started circulating. Producers hesitating. Directors declining involvement. And slowly, the enormous $100 million partnership began shrinking. Then came the moment that almost no one noticed. August 2025. Netflix quietly downgraded the Sussex contract. The original mega deal replaced with a first look agreement, Hollywood language that basically translates to, we'll listen to your ideas, but the blank checks are gone. It was a subtle move, almost polite. But in the ruthless world of streaming deals, it carried a devastating message. The era of guaranteed Sussex hits was officially over. And from that moment forward, the dominoes started falling faster. Movie projects stalled. Adaptations announced with fanfare, then left sitting in development limbo. Scripts drifting without directors. Directors refusing to attach their names. Casts never assembled. One project, a romantic adaptation of the novel Meet Me at the Lake, has now been sitting inside Netflix's development pipeline for nearly 3 years without a single director or lead actor attached. In Hollywood terms, that isn't a delay. It's a warning signal, because directors guard their reputations like currency. Attaching yourself to the wrong project can damage a career built over decades. And right now, the calculation many filmmakers appear to be making is painfully simple. The risk outweighs the reward. Meanwhile, behind the glossy branding and carefully curated Instagram aesthetic, another uncomfortable number surfaced. A glitch on Meghan's As Ever website accidentally accidentally revealed the company's hidden inventory totals. Internet sleuths discovered something startling: more than 650,000 unsold products worth roughly $21.8 million sitting in storage. Candles, sprinkles, jams, baking mixes. And as the months pass, many of those items carry something quietly ticking against them: expiration dates. Time, in other words, is not on their side. While Hollywood projects stall, warehouses fill with unsold inventory, and streaming partnerships shrink, a larger question begins floating through media circles and boardrooms alike. If the Sussex brand was supposed to dominate Hollywood, why does everything suddenly look like it's slowing down? And perhaps more importantly, what happens next? Because while Meghan's business empire was quietly losing momentum in California, Prince Harry's battle in London was about to explode into something even more dangerous: a courtroom drama that could leave him personally responsible for millions. And that's where the second half of this story begins. While the lights were quietly dimming in Hollywood, a completely different drama was unfolding thousands of miles away inside London's imposing royal courts of justice, and the timing of it all almost feels too symbolic to ignore. Because as Meghan's lifestyle brand struggled to move products and Netflix slowly distanced itself from the Sussex empire, Prince Harry was sitting in a courtroom confronting something far more dangerous than bad reviews or weak streaming numbers. He was confronting the possibility that the legal crusade he believed would finally defeat the British press might instead collapse beneath him. The case, one of Harry's final battles against the media establishment, targets the publisher of the Daily Mail, accusing the newspaper of obtaining private information through illegal methods years ago. It is a case Harry has framed as a moral stand, a final reckoning against the tabloids he believes haunted his life since childhood. But inside the courtroom, reality began unfolding in a way that even his supporters struggled to spin. Because legal battles don't run on emotion or headlines, they run on evidence. And suddenly, that evidence started looking alarmingly fragile. The stakes alone are staggering. The combined legal costs for both sides in the case have been estimated at roughly £40 million. If the court ultimately rules against Harry and the group of claimants, his share of the costs alone could approach $7 million. And that number isn't theoretical, it's a real financial risk hanging over the trial like a storm cloud. But what truly shook observers wasn't just the cost, it was the testimony. One of the central pillars of Harry's argument has been that certain stories published about him years ago must have been obtained through illegal means: phone hacking, surveillance, private investigators digging into confidential information. Among those articles was a story describing Harry around a campfire in Botswana, talking about his relationship with his then-girlfriend Chelsea Davy. Harry insisted that no one present at that moment would have spoken to a journalist. And then the court heard from Rebecca English, a veteran royal journalist with nearly 3 decades at the Daily Mail. English calmly took the witness stand and delivered a statement that cut straight through the heart of Harry's claim. According to her testimony, the newspaper had not hacked any phone at all. The information came from someone present at the campfire, someone who voluntarily contacted the paper and shared the story themselves. That single assertion shifted the entire atmosphere of the trial, because if a friend willingly spoke to the press, then the dramatic allegation of illegal information gathering begins to weaken. And when a lawsuit rests on a fragile foundation, every new contradiction becomes dangerous. Even more troubling was the situation surrounding a key private investigator whose evidence had helped inspire the legal case in the first place. That witness has now stated that the evidence connected to the claim may have been fabricated. If that statement holds, it doesn't just weaken the lawsuit, it potentially dismantles the very narrative that justified it. Inside the courtroom, the tone has reportedly grown increasingly tense. Barristers pushing back, witnesses contradicting claims, a legal battle that once looked like Harry's righteous confrontation with media power now starting to resemble something else entirely, a gamble that may not pay off. And this is where the financial story becomes impossible to ignore. Because remember what was happening simultaneously in California: the Netflix partnership shrinking, streaming projects stuck in development, a lifestyle brand carrying more than $20 million in unsold inventory, the Spotify partnership already gone, the Audible deal quietly fading, multiple media projects stalled. For years, the Sussex strategy seemed clear: walk away from royal life, transform the global fascination with their story into a new kind of celebrity empire, one built on media deals, production companies, lifestyle branding, and public influence. For a brief moment after the Oprah interview and the Netflix documentary, it even looked like the strategy might work. But in March 2026, the reality suddenly looks very different. The movie adaptations announced with great excitement remain stuck in development limbo. No director, directors, no casting announcements, no production schedule. One film based on Carly Fortune's best-selling novel, Meet Me at the Lake, has been sitting inside Netflix's system for nearly 3 years without meaningful progress. A second project, an adaptation of Jasmine Guillory's The Wedding Date, appears equally stalled. Even the documentary film Cookie Queens, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival earlier this year, still has not secured a distributor or streaming platform willing to release it. In Hollywood, that kind of silence sends a message louder than any press statement. Meanwhile, insiders whisper that Meghan had hoped to take a far more hands-on role in directing her own productions, a move that reportedly made executives uneasy after complaints about her management style during earlier projects. According to multiple industry sources, Netflix executives were reluctant to place her in a direct creative leadership role again. The massive Netflix deal has effectively been downgraded. Spotify ended its partnership. Major film projects remain stuck in development. A lifestyle brand faces the problem of millions of dollars in unsold inventory. And in London, a courtroom battle intended to expose wrongdoing in the press now carries the risk of leaving Prince Harry personally responsible for millions in legal costs. None of this means the story is over, but it does raise a question that even their supporters are beginning to whisper quietly behind closed doors. Because if the original plan was to transform royal fame into a global media empire, what happens when the deals slow down, the projects stall, and the courtroom drama turns unpredictable? What exactly comes next for Harry and Meghan? Right now, the answer seems unclear, and the distance between where they once believed they would be and where they actually are has never looked wider.